Well, it's crazy. Today was voting day. And what a miserable day in so many ways. There's nobody to vote for because sadly the people that would like to stand in this country are unable to, either through financial reasons or even possibly commitments. So that's impossible. My theory is small is beautiful. And where I live on a council estate, that council estate should run itself. We all chip in 10% of whatever we earn. At the end of the thing, we'll then give 10% of that to the council as a thank you, yeah? And then the rest is distributed back into the community for what we need. And in our community, we may desperately want to have a field dedicated to chicken, and we might desperately want some areas where our dogs can actually run free, and we might desperately want an area where there's a spring and actually utilise that and put a standing pipe in and actually get the water from where you live. Because God is water. Everything is water. We are so, our grey matter in our brains, most of our body, we were created in water. And we were birthed onto the land. And there are springs all over this country, all over the world, everywhere. And hot springs very probably as well. And there's chalybeate springs. And what does that mean? How did they come about? Were they originally wishing wells? And over the years, so many people have thrown brass and copper and all sorts down there that's made the water red. I'm very intrigued about that. It's a question that I'd love to have answered. I don't know if anyone out there could answer that, but that's a question I'd like to discuss. And why aren't we policing our own areas where we live? There's masses of people on my estate. I'm not sure quite how many, but at least down the main drag where I am, I would say there has to be over 1,000 people just in that little bit. That's not including the whole of the estate. But out of that, I'm sure there's lots of strong men. Yeah, I bet there's lots of people who walk their dogs. So why don't they just become local rangers? Yeah, checking out what's going, keeping an eye on things. If they notice there's a hell of a lot of rubbish, then they tell the litter pickers can go and pick it up. Yeah. The more you tidy up, the more tidy it becomes. It's when people see rubbish and then they throw more. And why aren't we all kind of complaining to the council that every time their council bin men come round, and I'm sorry, I can't even call them bin men because the last time I saw them, they're like little boys. Yeah. So they're not in it. There are people in this world who loved being rubbish clearers and sweep roads, yeah, and are proud to do that job. Yes, there's people who love doing that, keeping their surroundings beautiful, and especially the public ones. Yeah. But what a shame that those people aren't doing that job. And getting tokens and notes of appreciation in the highest realms. Not in this low energy form, these damn coins. And the word coins is the word icons. And we were told not to worship icons. That's why they gave it to us. And they even told us because they put heads and tails on it. Very interesting. Humans have heads and serpents have tails. And then made us want to, or desperately have to get this coinage and these notes, yeah, to establish it. And I looked at the roads today, and the potholes are it's just ridiculous. You couldn't safely let anyone on a bicycle ride down that most of the roads around here, and or a motorbike. How people are not being killed on their motorbikes than their bicycles, I don't know. And they probably are, but I bet it's not getting reported. I bet that's not getting reported. And I've never understood why the hell anyone on a motorbike has to pay road tax when they do no damage to the roads whatsoever, but are continually damaged by the roads and by idiot drivers, etc., etc. It should be a law in this country that everybody, as soon as they're little, they get balance balls to stand on so they have good balance, yeah? That they have bicycles and scooters and skateboards really, really early on so that they've got balance, so that they can be daredevils, so that they can fall over a few times and realise that they're safe and not get all frightened. You know, we've become so safety orientated. It's just beyond the realm of anything. Kids don't climb trees anymore. In my day, you know, I was born in 62, and growing up, you know, we were doing handstands outside the house and you'd fall and you'd crick your neck and you couldn't move for ages, you half paralysed yourself. These were things that you learnt, yeah, you learnt to get fit. This is the whole point of becoming. And again, we have no initiations for our youth. It's absolutely crazy. All babies don't need a name. Nobody needs a name. Nobody needs a name. You're called baby until you can walk. Yes? And then you're a toddler. It doesn't matter what sex you are. This is the whole crazy thing. And if everyone forgot about and all babies were just classed as sexless, as they are, because they have no understanding of that or conception of that whatsoever, yes. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Come back. Where was it? Babies. Sorry, I will get it in a second. It's talking about babies. They've got no concept of sex. Yes, so what I'm saying is, then all children are treated exactly the same. Yes, because it's very interesting. We're much more gentle with little girls if we know they're girls or they're dressed as girls, and we're a little bit more boisterous and tough with boys and telling them to be big and strong. And the point is, no, again, we're sticking labels. We want everyone to grow up to be big and strong. We want everybody to be able to cry and not feel ashamed of crying when it's needed. Look how many of us cry. We cover our eyes up, or we cover up our eyes with a handkerchief because we're so ashamed that we've given way, that we've cried, that we've wept, that we've reduced ourselves to nothing in somebody's eyes. This is a hugely humbling thing. This is not reducing yourself to nothing. This is reducing yourself to everything, to everything. This is the unspelling. This is the turning it on its head 360 degrees. We can be living in a world where there is no pornography. We can be living in a world where there are no violent films allowed. We can be living in an era where really lovely people write really true, beautiful stories, children's stories and books. Yes? Everybody needs to be at least 3 or 4 doors away from somebody who's got chicken or got a lamb or got a cow that milk, so that children see everything. When a little child, no matter what age, even tiny, witnesses a cat giving birth to kittens or a dog giving birth to puppies, it's a wondrous thing. There you go, birds and the bees done in one. Nobody ever has to discuss it again. It's obvious. Yes? And by seeing that, you certainly haven't interested them in it, but you haven't terrified them by it, because look at the outcome. Because why are we here? We were all brought here to reproduce, to recreate ourselves. Yes, to have family. That is the whole purpose, to live in tribe, to live in community, to live in a village, to live in a freelage, where everything is free, because everybody is doing the best of their abilities in the areas that they love, learning stuff that they might not have learnt from somebody else who knows about this, that and the other. Somebody's going to be fantastic at baking bread, somebody will be amazing at making homemade mead, somebody be an amazing beekeeper. You have all those people already here. And if they're not, call them in, call your tribe in. This is where we are now. I feel like I'm ringing all the time like a bell, and my light is going off above my house like a ner, because I'm a blue electric hand. And my blue ner is going off, and I'm calling in the tribe. And those of you who hear it will hear it. I don't have to scream and shout from the rooftops. I've learnt that now. It's exhausting, but in the beginning, when one's so angry, when one really wakes up to the destruction that they've done to us as human beings, it's just beyond the pale. Not one single race, not one single sex has not been in slavery. Not one of us has not been abused sexually, mentally, physically. Not one of us has not been traumatized. Not one of us has not been bereaved. Not one of us has not felt loneliness or loss or love. All of these things. But in a skewed and messed up way. In a very skewed and messed up way. The reason we're not coping, the reason it has come to this is because we are not living as we were meant to live. We were never meant to live in cement boxes. It's so alien to our entire existence and nature. We came from an egg. We came from an egg. We were in our mummy's round tummy. This is why everyone's so obsessed with the round. And we came from our mother. Mother, let me forth. It's an anagram. And that's the other thing. You don't name your children. You wait until they're 7, till they're ready to name themselves. And in some tribes, they used to, because there's some tribes where the women sleep with various warriors or men of the tribe, that some of them share, etc., etc. And in those tribes, when she becomes pregnant, and obviously there's space in between everybody, it isn't just, she doesn't know who the father is, she will know who the father is. And whatever his name begins with, say it begins with a T and his name's Thomas, then that baby will be called a name that begins with the letter T. So that child always knows who her mother is because her mother will breastfeed her, and she knows who her father is because she has his initial, his end title.